Welcome to this week's episode of the Lagnapod. I'm Rob Holbert. My voice is actually working finally after a month or so. It feels better. Who else is here?
That's great, Rob.
Who else is here?
We're so excited.
I'm excited. Probably the listeners are excited not to hear me hoarse for the last 4 weeks.
This is Ashley Trice.
Scott Johnson.
Brady Petrie.
And I'm Kyle Hambrick.
All right. Tommy Hicks is out on assignment right now. He'll be back in a few minutes for his segment. It's getting close to the deep graw here as we're doing this, so it's we're getting there. What's the most interesting thing going on in Mardi Gras right now? There's a few things happening that are a little strange.
Huh.
I thought it was great that there was only 780 people in one parade.
Oh, the
Yes.
poor Neptunes.
It was a very unfortunate.
That
That was
on Sunday night.
That was pretty bitter. Yeah, that would have been.
Yeah.
You had to really be
True believers.
740 true believers out there to do that. That to ride in that would be
You
brutal.
can't even imagine how many beats those 780 people got.
Yeah, they probably-
they loaded up.
They got rained on in beads, too.
Yeah. So
Man.
we've got two crews fighting over the same name.
Yeah, we got
There's the chaos.
it's a little
and chaos.
chaotic, right?
It's
So
chaotic.
Hey, there you go.
There it is.
There's apparently two orders of chaos out there, and they spell it with a K and.
I got a rim shot in there we got a rim shot button. I
Oh, there
found
you
that.
go.
I found
there you
that. So we'll be using
Please
that.
keep that to yourself.
That's yeah. It's not
All
a
right,
rim
yeah,
job button.
diverting.
That's you're
So
that's
you've got
a different
the-
button.
I gotta save the
Ash.
ship. I gotta save the ship here.
So you've got
Okay.
the chaos, is it K-A-H-O-S?
Yes.
And then you've got the K-H-A-O-S.
Yes,
right?
Which has been explained that it's okay because it's spelled differently. Which
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I think it's probably okay because neither one have heard of each other before, which is kind of crazy. But so we have a new order of chaos, which is apparently a fracturing off of the Conde Explorers, and
right.
that's a whole nother deal. There's some allegations and a
A
lawsuit,
lawsuit there that the people who formed the new chaos took $69,000 from the Conde Explorers. That's a lawsuit that has been filed.
Yep.
And then after you wrote that story, then the old chaos, KHOAS,
K-A-H-O-S.
K-A, the spellings are throwing me off a little bit.
I
but,
can't believe you're not getting this down
but
yet.
yeah, and then
Kah-Khaos.
they complained that the new chaos, the KHO
Yeah, K-H-A-O-S.
AOS, had stolen their name.
Yeah, they put out a statement basically calling on them to find something original to get off their turf. So the old one's been around since '92. They have, they've been incorporated for multiple years, and that this new, I'm assuming, in good faith assumption here, that the other crew just doesn't know the other one exists. I mean, the Order of Chaos, the old one, is a Joe Kane marching society.
Yes.
And, there's hundreds of those.
There's lots of those guys. Yeah.
So easy to just get lumped together. You can't really keep track of any of them. One of the criticisms that the old order is making of the new one is that
the placement of the A is completely wrong.
Oh yeah, you didn't spell it right. And then plus, but I guess it's not even incorporated in Mobile. Theirs is incorporated on Montgomery, which is a little odd there. So, but there's, it's some funny to look on the outside and look how some of these kind of petty fights. But I mean, the names are important to these crews, and but I think it's appropriate that orders of chaos are getting into fights with each other.
It's something.
Yeah.
It's definitely something. Let's talk a little bit about weird throws too. Ashley, you had a column about it this week.
I did. There have been a lot of weird throws this year. Really cheeky. I like it.
They're a little bit cheeky.
Yes.
Yeah,
There's the Hawk Tua plush.
We my wife caught a Hawk Tua pillow from the Hawk Tua girl. If people are
it does not have the Hawk Tua girl on it.
If you are not familiar, get online or go outside once in a while, because this was all the rage for some time. I'm sure infants know who Hawk Tua girl is, but it's people in the middle of the Amazon who've never seen others know all about it.
But
Yes.
this particular plush has a llama, I think.
Has a llama.
With it
known for their spitting.
Yeah.
Known for their spitting.
Very clever. I like that.
I see.
So that one's good. Your wife also caught the Diddy Party Juice. Is that
Diddy
what
Party Favor.
Diddy
Ooh,
Party
not
Favor.
juice, thank
Yes.
God. But
God.
it looked a lot like just a some hand sanitizer, some glittery hand sanitizer.
It needs to be baby oil for
well,
sure.
I was about to say I have a theory on what it may be in case you guys haven't opened it yet.
We have not opened it.
I would be willing to wager it's either baby
oil
is
not necessary. We have not opened it.
Right.
We're
not going to open it. Yeah.
Not unless we're invited to a Diddy party.
Which, given all everything that's come out of my life, I don't know that I would. But
it
does not. Really should have.
Yes. I would say it's baby oil or maybe even some lubricant of some kind. That is my theory.
You may need to hold on to the bottle for evidence.
You can never leave.
for some evidence in case the lawyers call you. You may need to turn that in.
Yes.
That one's good. There was the Condi Cavalier horse squishing plush.
They had
featured a marshal that was trying to
was a robust individual on top of a horse collapsing
that looked to
horse
be in pain. Yeah. Yes,
playing off of last year's controversy of overweight gentlemen riding horses. Yes.
So that one's been a good one. And then the Bankhead Tunnel plush.
Yes.
They got a new one out.
Yes.
Yeah, I caught one last night.
Seen more tops than Mardi Gras.
Yeah.
The more tops off.
Removed more tops.
Taking off more tops.
Taking
off more tops than Mardi Gras. Yes, that's a good one. There's
it sure has though.
Yeah,
the brick is a nice one. I like the brick.
I caught the brick on the very first night.
The Civic Center brick is a cool looking one. It's obviously not made out of brick. It is made out of some sort of styrofoam. But so that's cool.
Yeah,
I failed to inform my aunt that they were throwing bricks off of the thing. And she was, this is our first Mardi Gras parade last night.
She dived for the ground.
She was pretty terrified when she saw them throwing bricks.
My girlfriend did the exact same
Tell her to toughen up. Welcome to Mobile.
I said, keep your head on a swivel.
Bring your helmet.
Yeah.
That sounds like a Tuesday for New Orleans. All right.
That's normal for them. Yes. That's one of the things one of the other controversies that has arisen is Sergeant John Young at the Mobile Police Department. He's been pretty outspoken about youth violence and all the things that go into that, and just generally the behavior of youth in our community. He sent something the other day to me and he had posted on Facebook asking people when they see young people in the parades making lewd and sexual moves for everyone to turn around and face away from them and not encourage it. He is directly referring to the, as I call it, air-humping, the bands involved in where they just at some point, usually it's the horn, the small horn players like the trumpet players and that maybe even some trombone guys get in on it.
You're not going to see a tuba kid.
Don't talk bad about the trombones, but the small horns are just overcompensated. They break down and they begin simulating sex. I mean, I think that's the easiest way to put it. I don't know how
some interesting sex. Then I've got some videos from the
I mean, it's a sexual simulation. I mean, I've got videos too, and I don't know. It looks pretty sexual in nature. I did not see anybody turn around and face away from them, though.
Yeah, I've not seen that.
I heard the crowd just roar in delight every time they do it.
Yeah, it's a weird dynamic because it's definitely, I mean, it's a very clearly like lewd, but everyone's cheering it on. And it bothers me to think about what some instructor showing the proper technique and movement.
This is a question I've had for years when this has become a thing, is like, at what point does the band director say, all right, today's air humping day. Today we're going to learn how to do this, and to do it properly.
1, 2.
All you trumpet players get over here, and the tuba guys don't ever get a chance to participate.
Yeah, the drum line can't really do it.
No, you got to have
the sousaphone.
You got to have a little smaller horn, and
I'm steering clear of this entire conversation.
I don't know. It just strikes me as being.
I mean, they've always done like dance. This is the worst I've seen it this year for sure.
It started a couple years ago.
Yeah, I mean, but this particularly like humping the barricades, that's new.
Humping the barricades is new this year. Yes, they were humping the barricades the other night. Terrified my stepdaughter, my 11-year-old. They came up right where all of our children were standing, and started humping the barricades. There was a lot of shock among the children. They were like, what in the world is this?
I hope they start ticketing for humping the barricades. Like they do jumping the barricades.
barricade jumping since 2014. I don't when it started. Yeah, it is bizarre. I mean, you think about these are public school bands that are doing this. They're teenagers. I'm not trying to be a prude, but I mean, it is kind of it's pretty racy. I mean that.
Especially when there's so many other things you could do that it would be just as cool and maybe not as cool, but just as like extravagant. Like there's many other options. I mean, you don't have to do that.
What's the dance Serena Williams did in the Super Bowl?
Oh, the crip walk.
Yeah.
Just do a crip walk.
I mean,
might as well.
Do the crip walk.
All the old ladies know this dance now.
The majorettes, the majorettes have been doing sort of dirty dancing a little bit. I mean, a lot of booty shaking for years, but this is different. Yeah, it's definitely a lot of pelvic thrusting. And so, I mean, and there's a variety. People sort of either they face up or they face down or they attack the barricades, so.
I mean, if my kid came home and they said, "Look what I learned today," and they showed me, and they're like, "Who taught you that?" It's like my teacher. Like I would be like, "Okay, that's grooming."
I mean, what if you just want to play trumpet and you're not interested in that?
Hope you got the hips, man.
I mean, if
you don't have, you might
get booted out of the trumpet corps for not doing this.
You got the lips, but not the hips. You're out. Right?
Yeah, that's it. Well,
play that trump, you better hump.
Hey, hold on, good.
Rim shot. There we go.
It's your Diddy party.
I just found out these buttons on here. I don't know what the other ones do. Let's see. Oh, that's terrible. All right, that's some kind of weird music.
For context.
Oh, that's music. Okay.
We can't hear any of this.
I know you can't hear any of it. I can hear it, but it's anyway. So can our lovely listeners. Anyway, that's what it's deep growl, y'all. We can, I'm not saying we're drinking yet. We're not, but all right, we're going to move on and take a quick break, and we'll come back and talk about a few more things. Be right back.
Down in our Alabama town, Lanyard Daily is on the beat. For just $6.50, it's all the news, keeping local folks in the loop. Oh, Lanyard Daily, every single morning, catching up on stories while the coffee's pouring. The local troops on every page.
Just $6.50 a month for Mobile's daily news, Lanyap Daily. Get signed up now at lanyapmobile.com and help keep Mobile funky.
Down in our Alabama town, Lanyap Daily is on the beat. For just $6.50, it's all the news, keeping local folks in the loop. Oh, Lanyap Daily, every single morning, catching up on stories while the coffee's pouring. The local troops on every page, news for the folks of every age.
And Tommy Hicks has joined us. We're back. Yeah, magically. You were working on some breaking news, and tell us what it is.
Yeah, Jim Nagy, the executive director of the Reese's Senior Bowl, has announced that he is leaving and taking what I believe is a created position at the University of Oklahoma as general manager of football.
Okay.
Which I assume will may have him working very closely with Brent Venables, the head coach, and their coaching
sounds like
staff.
An NIL position.
Could be.
Sounds like some money raising type of positions. What it sounds. That's just what it sounds like to me. I don't know.
It's not football operations.
Yeah.
So it's just football general manager.
Yeah.
Bring us some cash and some players.
Yeah, just gets all the jock straps organized and raises money.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
That's it. So, what does it mean for the Senior Bowl?
It means that you obviously have to fill that position with someone who has some experience in scouting, knows players, knows what players to go after. It'll be interesting to see which direction they take. Do they want a young guy coming in? They want somebody who's been a scout for 20-something years to come in and run the game and be in charge of all of that. I mean, that's the main purpose of the executive director, is to make sure that they get the right, the best players that you can bring in here to the game. So that's all about relationships with college coaches and with the players themselves. It's relationships with agents, especially these days with NIL and everything else. You've got to get, the players are already making a good chunk of money. They don't have to come here to try to up their, their scale when they get to the pros. So it could be a complicated position, but I feel like just because of the reputation of the game, a lot of guys that are scouts now that have been scouts forever, they live on the road.
Yeah.
So finding a position where you would be home based pretty much as executive director, you send all the other people out to do the scouting.
Yeah.
I mean, you go to games, you can pick the ones that you want to go to, but for the most part, you're here and you have if you have a family, you have a home base and you're not on the road as
So
much.
it's a good job.
So it's a good gig. It'll pay well, and it'll be something that attracts a lot of attention.
Do you think we will see a name that we know?
Hard to say. I mean, I personally don't keep up with scouting, who's out there as scouts. So unless they pull a coach who's tired of dealing with coaching, but wants to do that, he has the connections, then I don't know that we will necessarily know the name of the person. But I would assume it's going to be somebody with a really good reputation in the scouting world or within the NFL offices.
Will this start the conversation of the Senior Bowl is going to move again?
I think that conversation never stops, so I think that conversation is always going to be out there just because of things that have happened in recent past, and everybody's saying, they're going to move the game. They're going to take it to Las Vegas with the Pro Bowl and combine them there. You've heard all these things. I know that obviously the local group that runs it wants to keep it here. Keep that game here. I mean, it's really important to a lot of people in this city that they hang their hat on being the home for that game. So I know they don't want it to leave, and most people don't. I mean, it's a great week. It brings a lot of attention not only to Mobile but to the surrounding areas and to football in general. It keeps it's a big deal for the city as far as economic impact and that sort of thing. So. It will be interesting, though.
I mean, I would say, one thing from my standpoint, at least personally, just in the Jim Nagy era, it was that it just seems like there was no interest at all from the Senior Bowl in talking to the local media or being involved in any way very much with what we do. So that just seemed like there was a kind of a wall built up there.
There was for a little bit.
Yeah.
But after the previous year's game, there was a meeting.
Yeah. Got a little bit better.
And it got much better this year. So I think, there was a tendency to lean toward national media.
Sure, and I get that.
I
understand that. I get that.
But then we kind of get the local media kind of gets lost in the shuffle in that and go, hey, we're here every week. Yeah. When people aren't in town, we're here writing about your game. So I think it was just one of those things where we had to go, hey, we're here. And
pay attention to us.
How about us getting some access to this and that? And this year that changed.
It definitely was a little different than it used to be. I'll say that. But that's good. Hopefully, maybe whoever replaces him will kind of know that coming out of the box a little bit more.
I would think so. I would think they would recognize that. But it's going to be interesting to see how quickly they fill the position as well. How long do you keep that open? Because I'm imagining they're already receiving, now that the word is out, I think they're already getting resumes coming in or somebody's agent is calling.
The fax machine is blowing up, right?
Asking about the
still
position.
A fax machine over there.
And that sort of thing.
Well, so that's a big deal. It'll be a big change. I don't know if it'll make it, as you said, it shouldn't make a difference in the game in terms of it leaving or doing anything crazy like that. But,
no,
maybe
but you got to have the right guy in position that you're still with the East-West getting a little more attention from the NFL than it has in the past. It's going to be an important position to make sure you're still bringing in the best players you can bring into the game.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've got a few other things going on in the sports world locally. Basketball is hot and heavy right now. High school.
High schools are playing the state championship this week as we speak. This is Wednesday morning. McGill's boys team is playing in the semifinals of 6A. Later in the day, the Viger girls and the Viger boys both qualified, so they'll be playing their semifinal games in 5A. Tomorrow, Thursday, it will be Daphne girls in 7A, and Fairhope boys in 7A. St. Michael's 4A girls team made it, but they lost in the semis yesterday, so their season's over. So you win in the semis, obviously, you move on to the title game, maybe a state championship or two for the area.
That's pretty exciting. And then South may be looking at getting into some rarefied air there, right?
Yeah, I mean, they haven't been to the NCAA tournament in quite a while. And the last time it wasn't really pleasant because they played Butler. But anyway, they have a good chance. This is the last week of the regular season for the Sun Belt Conference. They have 2 games. They have tonight, Wednesday night, they are at Arkansas State?
Arkansas State, yeah.
Yeah, that's a big game for them. And then on Friday night, it's not Saturday, on Friday night, they play at home against Louisiana. They are currently tied for second with 2 other schools. There's 3 schools, Troy and it's escaping me. Troy and one other are tied for second. Texas State maybe, and then Arkansas State is in the lead. Is that correct?
I think James Madison last night claimed a part of the Sun Belt title last night. So
that's right.
They're at the
James
top,
Madison is in first, and then it's Texas State, South, and Troy are tied for second. Now, what the big deal is there, even if you don't finish first, if you finish second in the league, you get an first top 2 teams in the league get an automatic bye to the semifinals of the tournament.
Okay.
That league tournament, that means you only have to win 2 games and you're in the NCAAs because the Sun Belt gives its automatic berth to its tournament champion.
Gotcha.
So, whatever happens this week, you've still got a shot to get in the tournament. But if you win both your games, by the tiebreakers, it figures that South is going to finish second. Most people believe if they win both of their games, they'll be the number 2 seed. That'll get them all the way to Sunday.
Yeah.
In the tournament, you play Sunday and Monday and win those games, and you're off to the NCAAs.
Did you kind of alluded to this, but you think they still have a chance to make it to the NCAA tournament without winning the? No.
I don't think so because the Sun Belt's been a
win the Sun Belt.
one bid league for so long.
Okay.
And then look around. There's 9 SEC teams are ranked in the top 25. Most projections have like 13 teams from the SEC going to the tournament.
Okay.
They're eating up a lot of at-large bids. So I think the Sun Belt's going to remain a one-bid league. So no matter what you do this week, but if you win the tournament, you're gonna be the one that goes from the Sun Belt. Probably that's the only one.
Well, hopefully South will make it happen. Well, thank you, Tommy. We appreciate it. We'll take a quick break. We're going to come back and talk a little bit more.
Just $6.50 a month for Mobile's daily news, Lagniappe Daily. Get signed up now at lagniappemobile.com and help keep Mobile funky.
We are back. And Kyle, you have some breaking news in the Jack the Ripper case.
That's right. There is a Mobile
Believe
woman.
It or not, there is breaking news. In
130 years later.
I was about to say it's the first time those words have been uttered in a while.
Some breaking news. The Mobile woman who may have married a Jack the Ripper suspect.
She did marry a Jack the Ripper suspect.
Yeah, did marry a man who is a Jack the Ripper suspect. Her case, her murder conviction could be cleared very soon.
Because the Ripper files have decided that she did not poison. So she was convicted of poisoning this guy with arsenic.
With arsenic.
And,
in 1889.
Right. So
in England.
So they convicted her of this. She was going to hang.
Yes.
Then she got some clemency.
Yes.
She was released 20 years later.
15 years later.
15 years later.
Yeah.
Came to the United States and
she swore up and down the rest of her life, I did not do this. I am innocent of this crime.
So, but the guy she killed or allegedly killed is a Ripper suspect, as is his brother.
Yes. James Maybrick was her husband. Florence Chandler married James Maybrick.
I hope people are keeping track of this at home. This is
James Maybrick's brother, Michael, who is a composer, is also a Jack the Ripper
strong Ripper energy in the family. Yes. So
the theory is that Michael Maybrick was the Ripper, and he framed his brother for the crime,
which is Ripper-like. That's exactly what you'd expect a Ripper to do.
Very Ripper-like.
Yes.
Framed his brother for the crime, killed him.
The coup de grace.
Killed him, and then blamed James's death on Florence, so that we could get rid of her too.
So he had
some beef.
He had a double frame.
A double frame.
That sounds worthy of the Ripper.
Very Ripper-like. Very Ripper-like.
So the people who are advocating for her to get a pardon,
for this, and exoneration.
I'm sorry,
because she's been dead since World War II.
Well, yeah, but you could still posthumously pardon people as well. So whatever.
That would be up to King Charles.
Got you
to determine.
But the evidence against her was that she allegedly gave him arsenic. The evidence in her favor is apparently he liked to take arsenic.
Yes, as a vitamin and as an aphrodisiac. He was addicted to arsenic.
I mean, who among us?
He loved that
So
stuff.
when she saw him nibbling on some arsenic, she knew it was time for some loving.
Something could be about to happen.
Yes. Yeah. So really, nobody could blame her. Anyway, this is interesting stuff, but she is a Mobilian.
She was born in Mobile, and she grew up kind of all over the place, but she does have ties to the port city.
Any chance she will have a statue downtown in Cooper Riverside Park?
I think that there should be one, but it depends on what King Charles thinks about this case.
Probably be more likely to get one out in the
what's it going to say?
Is she buried here? Do you know that?
She's buried in Connecticut because that's where she died.
I got you.
I love how he knows this stuff off the top of his head.
This was a story that I had done after I started working here.
He dresses up like Sherlock Holmes and reads this stuff.
I love it. I know he does.
I know he does.
It's always fun to get an email from somebody that you talk to for a story 2 or 3 years later.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, there's a development.
Yeah. The Ripper case is moving.
Yeah.
Can't wait for that 9-foot copper statue.
Yeah.
It says
Florence Maybrick.
It's just going to say not the killer.
Not the killer.
Did not kill Ripper.
Did not do it.
So glad that is that's happening. We also have some Amtrak news. Finally, there's a little bit of actual time frame here.
Finally,
on when the train is coming to town.
It's going to be coming in June. That is what rail officials are telling us. It is that really the only thing holding up things now is Mobile's constructing a platform for the train service to restart. I spoke with Knox Ross, who's over the Southern Rail Commission. He said plans right now are for the trains to start rolling out in June. I
know there's a lot of naysayers, but I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be cool.
I received an email from a reader who said that they're still not putting out ticket prices, which kind of we're about 3 months out from service starting. We don't know ticket prices yet.
But that means that you could start saving.
That's true.
You could start saving now for your ticket.
I don't.
If it was good news, they would have already pushed it up.
I don't think it's going to be. Hopefully it's not going to be too high. But they've got to make sure that it's a workable deal. Like that, it's got to be somewhere in that neighborhood where a couple can justify going over by train versus going over by car. It's got to be somewhere. If you don't do that,
and I mean, this project has received so much federal money. I mean, I think we're up to $250 million for this project. Yeah. So I mean, I think that's going to help a lot with the prices. I'm not saying it's going to be cheap to go back and over, but I think it will be affordable.
Yeah, I hope so. That's what they've been saying. So we'll see. That'll be good. We had a story this week too that was kind of strange. Scott, you reported on there was a fatal. There was a fatal crash, a DUI case the other day, where a head-on collision, where the victim died, and then the guy who was driving the vehicle, 17-year-old, who is being charged as an adult. And strange part about it was you had a state trooper get up and testify about some pretty bizarre activity.
Yeah, really, really sad case. I mean,
oh yeah,
it's both the guy who died was 19. It happened Thanksgiving night, November 23rd. Really heartbreaking.
And 2 young people's lives. Obviously, the person who's driving obviously could go to jail for a very long time. You know, so it's very tragic.
It's very sobering to sit in that courtroom and just feel the just somberness. But the state trooper testified Monday. He said that the 17-year-old was driving 117 miles an hour a few seconds before impact on Highway 217, I think.
Yeah,
up in right above Saraland, and it killed the 19-year-old on impact probably. But the 17-year-old was actually able to walk away from the accident, and then, according to the trooper, there was witnesses who claimed that he was rummaging through his car, taking items out, putting them in a jacket. And his father allegedly came to the scene, took the jacket away from one of the bystanders and left with it. Now this gets interesting because the father is a Mobile police officer, and they subsequently found empty box of Twisted Tea in the car. They found an unopened,
which is an alcoholic beverage.
Yes, thank you. And they found an unopened bottle of vodka.
Yeah,
and so
and he did hours later test above the legal limit for alcohol, and he was tested 3 hours after the accident.
Yeah, he was life flighted out eventually.
And still, it was a 0.11.
0.11. So there he was drinking. It's unclear what he had in the car. The allegation that the trooper kind of hinted at was that there were things in the jacket, but he doesn't know what they were because it was removed.
Yeah, the officer was allowed to get up there to the scene and take that jacket, and the DA's office pretty much says he took the jacket.
Yeah,
we just don't know if there was anything in it. So
undisputed.
But the officer is still at work at the at Mobile Police Department.
Yeah,
we had an interesting part of it from a journalism standpoint because there is a state law that was passed back in 2021 that says you cannot name anybody under the age of 18, which I maintain is a unconstitutional prior restraint, and I think it certainly is. And these types of laws, when they have gone to the Supreme Court, have been overturned. That doesn't mean it's not a law here in Alabama right now, but I just don't think it's constitutional law. But we ended up getting into that because you name the father, and that basically identifies the kid. But he's also been charged as an adult. We've made the decision to put his name in the paper.
Yeah, you could. I walked into open court and they were using his name freely,
right?
And so that if the law is actually what people claimed it is very unusual.
There was a lot of pushback from that, but there was a change in the law this past year that basically says after a preliminary hearing, if the name is out, then that it is permissible to use. So we were not in any hot water in that area anyway, but it was just kind of a weird moment. But I still maintain that's an illegal law.
Yeah,
and
even if it did apply to us, I don't see how it would hold up at all.
I don't think it would, but you never know in this day and age. I don't really want to go spend my time in court, but I still think it's unconstitutional law. And then that's I think that's one thing we've got. There are other prior restraints that the Alabama legislature has passed in the last few years, and so you deal with these things all the time. It's something that comes down. People decide we're going to make it so it's illegal to write this, that, or the other. Unless it is something from a federal level, unless it is something that is national security wise, the government can't tell you what to write.
Yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong, prior restraint is criminalizing the actual act of saying or printing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can be held liable for what it results in you saying or printing, but in terms of, that's what prior restraint
well,
is.
that's that was a discussion I had with a lawyer yesterday. So, well, they didn't keep you from printing it, so it's not prior restraint. I'm like, that's not how it really works. It's prior restraint. There's not a government officer standing in every newsroom in America slapping the keyboard out of your hand if you're about to write something. Prior restraint is the threat of illegal behavior, or getting in trouble legally for it. So that's the restraint, and it's at the federal level, folks who might be familiar with the case, the Pentagon Papers case, is really what set the bar on this, and that was involving like government, confidential government information that was published, and the government really was trying to keep the New York Times and Washington Post from publishing it, and ended up they ended up both publishing it. The Washington Post led the way with it. There was a movie called The Post,
yep.
all about it. But so this is established federal law, but that doesn't mean that some yahoos up on Goat Hill won't pass something that doesn't really work with that.
And even when you read the law, it's pretty clear that it's speaking to law enforcement agencies and juvenile court officers.
Yeah, they have a duty to keep those things.
Yeah, which understand
secret if it is involving juveniles. We don't have that same duty. I mean, typically newspapers, as a courtesy, as a policy, don't publish the name of minors involved in things where they're charged as a minor.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I mean, a 16-year-old goes down and shoots 14 people downtown and is charged as an adult. I bet his name's going to be in the paper,
mm-hmm.
And that's how it is. But anyway, that's all we got for this week, folks. So enjoy the Mardi Gras. Get out there, have fun. Don't get arrested. We'll be back next week. We're actually going to take a break next week. We're going to take a little Mardi Gras break. So check us in 2 weeks. We'll be back. Bye.
The Lagnapod is a Something Extra publishing production. Executive producers are Rob Holbert and Ashley Trice. Music is by Some Sound and Electro Animals. Only subscribers like you have access to this podcast. Tell your friends they can sign up at my.lanyapredbill.com. For advertising opportunities, please call 251-450-4466.